What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I had a viewer request for me to do a video about dual tires versus super singles. I know there's been a lot of people that did videos on this subject, and a viewer wanted my input on it, so I'm going to give my input, tell you what I think about it, why I don't like super singles, why it may be a good investment for some people, but not for me. So a super single has two obvious advantages. One is the weight savings. You get about 100 pounds per wheel end or axle end. So if you remove these two tires here and put on one tire, you'll save about 100 pounds. Now that's on aluminum wheel inner and outer. So if you remove aluminum duals and put on an aluminum super single, you'll save about 100 pounds, slightly over 100 pounds, 105, 110, something like that. Just for rough math, 100 pounds per axle end. So if you do truck and trailer, you're going to save about 800 pounds total gross weight. If you get paid by the mile, I mean not by the mile, but by the pound or by the ton, obviously that's going to allow you to get a little more revenue per load that you haul and stay under legal weight of 80,000 pounds. My application does not pay me by the pound or by the ton. It goes by bundles. As long as you're able to haul 48,000 pounds of lumber, so that means your truck and trailer has to be around 32,000 pounds. You know, it's not exact, pretty close to that. You know, nobody seems to mind. If you're overweight, they will remove a bundle off your truck, and so that you'll be legal. So as long as you're not just have a super heavy rig, it's not that big a deal. Another thing, the super singles advantages is the you only have to check one tire per end, so it's a lot easier to maintain the air pressure, but it's also a lot more critical to maintain the air pressure because you only have one tire versus this one here has a friend to hang out with, and if one of them gets low, well, its friend kind of takes the load and helps you get where you're going. Now, what I do in a flatbed, super singles don't work well for a couple reasons, mainly two. But there's some people say, or some people run them on flatbeds, but the spread axle on the flatbed and the super single, when you're backing in tight spots on asphalt and stuff, it's harder on the trailer, is what I've heard. And I've watched a guy from, it was a Jordan carrier, backing into a spot, and I was cringing one day at a truck stop watching him twist that thing in there. It's bad enough anyway with these spread axles trying to get backed in somewhere, or really tight turn, the way they have to drag. And I go to some spots where you just got to drag your trailer around on the blacktop, and it's pretty brutal. There's one particular place I go to down toward Austin way. I don't go there all the time, just occasionally, but it's down at the end of a road in the cul-de-sac, and to get in the driveway of the place, you have to go past the driveway and go to the dead-end road in the cul-de-sac, turn around, and they line the trucks up on the opposite side of the road so you can make a left-hand turn into the place. And so the cul-de-sac's probably about 65-foot round circle, and so you have to swing and just drag your trailer around, put your truck in low gear, and just watch this trailer axle drag sideways on the blacktop loaded. There's really not much you can do about it. The trailer does have a dump valve on the rear axle. I have not installed a switch on this truck here. I had a switch in my old truck, but I do not have a switch installed in this one yet. Haven't took the time to do it. So anyway, the other thing on the super singles is, the reason I don't like them, as you guys who watch my videos know, I seem to have flats all the time. Going to these lumber yards, you pick up nails and screws constantly. Here recently, it's been bolts and rebar. And the place I load out of is down a two-lane road. In my area, there's a bunch of state highways, two-lane roads that have no shoulder, that drop straight off. Once you get over the white line, I mean, it drops straight off. If you run off the road, you're fixing to turn your truck over. There ain't no way around it. There's no shoulder there. And so if you have a flat tire with a super single, I mean, you're going to be stuck in the middle of the road. If you have a breakdown, you're stuck in the middle of the road. And you're going to have to call the local police, come out and block off the road, escort traffic around, or flag traffic around for 2 to 3 hours while you're waiting to get a flat fix. It's not real practical. With a dual tire setup, a lot of times if you're not going very fast, if it's a puncture like this bolt in this tire I'll show you over here, one I swapped out, you won't even know that you had a flat tire until you get where you're going. Now, it is not legal, obviously, to drive it like that, but if you don't know about it, you don't know about it, And like I say, if you're on a 2-lane road, there's nothing you can do if there's no shoulder. You're going to have to get to a safe spot, by a bridge or something where there's a wide spot to pull over to be able to do anything with it. And obviously, I don't even stop when I get loaded. The place I load out of is not all that far from my house, probably 35 miles or so. So when I get loaded, I don't stop till I get home. So if I'm flat on the way, unless it's a blowout and I hear it, I'm not going to hear it or know about it until I get home. And that's why you've seen me fix several flat tires in my house that I found once I got home, and I'm getting them, picking up nails and bolts and stuff at the place I get loaded, and then coming by the house or whatnot before I head out, or sometimes it'll be, on the weekend or whatnot, and then I'll discover once I get home that I got a bolt in my tire, I got a flat. And with a super single, I would have had to call out a wrecker several times, or not a wrecker, but a roadside service several times, and call out the police to block the road off and this and that and other in order to change the tire on the side of the road, and it would be to run the tire and the wheel, and it's somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 every time you do that. And I've had 3 flat tires in the last month, so it doesn't really work that well for hauling lumber in the flatbed scene. There's just too many nails and stuff to run over going where that we have to go, and you're always picking up something and having to keep an eye on your tire. And when you get a bolt stuck in a tire, that's not something that you're going to know immediately, but with a super single, you're going to know after the fact if you've already run the tire and wheel. Whereas a dual, if you stop, after you get loaded, a lot of times, if you say you're pulling out of the place and you pick up something on the ground, a bolt or something, a lot of times you're going to stop within the next hour and a half or so to get fuel, get you a snack before you hit the big highway or whatever, and you walk around and check your tires, and a lot of time that's what you'll find is something like that. And versus, a super single, you would not have that happen that way. You would know as you're going down the road, if you're checking your mirrors, you probably see smoke in the mirror and start feeling the truck lug down and whatnot after the fact if you already running the tire and wheel. Where with a dual setup, as long as you're not going interstate speed, it will hold up quite a while. As like I say, it's not legal to do that, but if you don't know, you don't know. But those tires are rated at 6,000 pounds, a little over 6,000 pounds, about 6,200 pounds a piece on a single load. And so if you had a fully loaded trailer, you would be about 8,000 pounds. Say if one of them blew out and one tire was supporting the load, you would probably be about 2,000 pounds over the tire rating. So now the tire is rated at, to withstand that 6,000 pound, 6,200 pound load at, 70, some of them are rated at 65, some of them are rated at 75 miles an hour. So depending on your brand of tire, but it's rated at that, at say, 100 degree outside temperature. You're running through Texas, you're running through Arizona, it has to be rated at that to withstand 6,200 pounds in a single load application, at 70 miles an hour or 75, whatever particular brand of tire is rated at, at 100 degrees or whatever they are, 95, 110, whatever they rate them at. So, although it's not legal, that tire can withstand more weight than that and hold up at a slower speed. So if you're only going 50 miles an hour, say on a 2-lane road, that tire can withstand, 8,000 pounds for a short distance for you to get somewhere where you can pull off. And that's why a lot of times if you have a dual tire setup, you're not, out there trying to run pole position on the interstate, trying to run 75 and blow by everybody. You won't even realize that you had a flat tire if it's not a blowout, if it's just like a puncture wound. You won't even realize that you had a flat tire until you get where you're going, or you stop for fuel, walk around and bump your tires, and then you realize, oh, I got a flat tire. And to me, that's a safety aspect of it versus if you're, say, you're in a construction zone or you're on a 2-lane road like I run a lot of, and you know, a super single blows out, you've got nowhere to go. Your only option is to put your flashers on, stop in the middle of the road, and put it down in first gear and idle along at about 3 miles an hour for a couple of miles or however long until you get out of the construction zone where they put up those barriers, or maybe there's a spot that you can see up the road. Maybe you can limp up there to get off the shoulder enough to get a tire truck and wait 3 or 4 hours. And where I'm at, there's not that many people that have super singles that I would be confident enough that I could even get one if I blew one out and run the tire and wheel and had to make a phone call and get one within a couple hours. Say I was sitting on the road and blocking traffic, I would not be confident at all that I could get my hands on a super single setup at any cost. And you know, a couple of hours, it'd probably be, we can get you one tomorrow or whatever, or you know, in 2 days we can get you one, would probably be the answer I got. Or you know, I would have to get one from several hundred miles away. You know, when you run into the backwoods, that's what you run into. Obviously, if you're in a bigger town, bigger city, you know, they keep them in stock at all the major places, I'm sure, and you would be able to get one. But if you're running with you know, loads that pay by the ton, by the pound, and you're on major highways where you have access to one, to get a spare installed and whatnot at all times. You're not going into lumber yards. You're going into, you know, you're pulling like reefer units where there shouldn't be any nails or anything. You're on major highways that's well maintained. You know, I could see the benefit of running the super singles. I'm told they last longer. You get better fuel mileage. One of the downsides I've heard drivers say that you have more sidewall flex. The truck wants to move side to side in the grooves more because of you only have 2 sidewalls instead of 4 sidewalls with a dual setup, and so that's the downside of them. But I get why companies do that. If you have, you know, a fleet of 100 trucks and every truck can haul 800 pounds more weight for 100 trucks, you know, that's a lot of extra revenue that they can potentially bring in. But also, you got to understand that every time you blow a tire out, it's going to be $1,500 to $2,000. It's not going to be, you know, you can limp it to the truck stop at the next exit up the road 2 or 3 miles, and you know, it only cost you $400. So it's going to cost you a lot more money. I'm just not sure that if the weight savings and the cost savings adds up to the extra expense when you do have a problem and the extra downtime. I know in my application it doesn't, because as I say, running a rural area and running lumber yards, you're constantly picking up nails and stuff, and it just would not be a good combination. I'd be constantly stranded somewhere with a flat tire because I seem to be having plenty of them. But I can see why people run them on reefer units and stuff like that, and on places that you're not going into lumber yards that constantly has nails out, or into lumber mills where for some reason they seem to have bolts and stuff out on the ground I keep picking up. But anyway, so that's my reasoning behind it. I think if memory serves me right, I've had about 5 flat tires this year. Now I hadn't filmed fixing all of them. I did film some of them, but so if you figured 5 flat tires, and let's just say I was stranded all of those times, it would have cost me like $8,000 to $10,000. Say I got stranded and run a wheel every time, it cost me $8,000 to $10,000 to fix 5 flat tires on the side of the road. Not practical. Most of these flat tires were discovered after I got home, because I pick up a lot of loads, and as I say, come back by the house and then get my lunch and stuff ready to head out, hit the road or whatever. Some of them were discovered when I was getting delivering the load. Didn't realize I had a low tire until I got ready to deliver the load. Well, once you got the load off of it, it's not a problem then. It's not illegal to run you know, with a low tire, as long as the trailer's not loaded. You're not overweight on the other tire. It'll run cross country and you'll never know it. But you have to get it fixed before you pick up another load. So that's been my experience why I like running the duals. I do have steel inside wheels on 3 of these tires here. One of them I've swapped out, and whenever I wear these tires out, I'm going to put the other inside aluminum wheels, so I'll have all aluminum wheels, whereas right now I have 3 steel wheels on this trailer. All my wheels on my truck are aluminum. There's about a 34 pound difference between a steel and aluminum wheel, so that right there is enough weight savings for me, just to keep the truck weight down. You save you know, as I say, about 70 pounds per 2 wheels. So truck and trailer, you can save about 500 pounds of weight on the on swapping from steel wheels to aluminum wheels. If you had all steel on your truck and trailer, you'd save about 500 pounds, or a little more than 500 pounds, versus all aluminum. And if you had all steels and you went to super singles, you would save probably 13 to 1400 pounds. But from aluminum duals to aluminum super singles is about 800 pounds for truck and trailer. So I hope this video helps somebody else and does a good job expressing my opinion on why I don't like super singles. I almost think that the extra revenue that you would make, especially as a single truck owner, would go into the expense of having the tire repaired on the side of the road. I can see in a fleet situation, you know, all of those trucks are not going to encounter that, and you know, the trucks that's running the extra loads, getting extra money, would cover the couple that had the flat tire. You know, it would cover the expense. So I could kind of see that, but I still don't know that I'd want the headache. My application, I like the duals. That way, if you do blow out a tire, you know, you can ease on down the road, because if you're running 70 miles an hour with a super single, by the time you can get over and safely stop, you've already run the wheel. So even if you're trying to stop right off and you're not trying to make it to the extra exit, by the time you get stopped, you've already run the wheel 9 times out of 10. So with the dual setup, if you hear a tire blow out, you know, you don't have to panic, slam on the brakes. You just pull over. A lot of times you're on the interstate, well, you're within half a mile if you're between exits somewhere where there's, you know, an exit every mile. There's a good chance you're pretty close to an exit where you can get off, safely call somebody to get the tire changed. If you're lucky, you'll be pretty close to where there's a truck stop at, and you can either limp it on in there. Again, that's not legal, but I know what happens, and there's probably some DOT officers would let you do that if you know, they understand. A lot of them understand the situation. If you're, you know, driving up the road at 40 miles an hour, you're trying to go and get the problem corrected. You know, they understand that, but you just can't keep driving on it, you know, like there's not a problem. But sometimes you don't know that there's a problem. I've seen trucks running down the highway. I've had this happen myself. Sometimes they blow out and you don't hear anything. You don't know. Somebody holler at you on the CB and say, hey, you have a tire blowed out. Without that, you had no idea. And so if that happens with a super single, you know, you're going to be in a bad situation versus a dual. Now, if you don't know about it in the dual and somebody don't get you flagged down in time, you're going to blow out the other one, and it's not going to be good if you're running, you know, at any kind of interstate speed. But again, if you're running a slower speed on a 2-lane road going through towns and stuff, you will likely not know that, you know, you have the tire beside it's blown out, and you won't know till you get stopped somewhere to get fuel or check your tires or whatever you do. But so that's been my experience with it. And obviously, if you have a bolt or something stuck in your tire, you're not going to hear that from the cab. You will not know that until either you blow out the tire beside it and that tire goes flat in a dual situation, or in a super single situation, the tire just goes flat and you destroy the tire and the wheel. So if you stop occasionally and you have a bolt in the tire in a dual, you have a chance to catch it. It's been my experience. I usually catch them. You know, if you stop a couple hours into your trip, you're not driving real fast. If it happened, you know, within the last 20 or 30 miles, you know, a lot of times you'll catch it and can get it fixed, and no damage done to the other tire, no damage done to that tire. You know, simply have it patched, repair it, get back on the road. So minimal downtime, minimal cost, which is great for owner operators and whatnot. But so yeah, that's my thoughts and everything on it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.